Today's journey takes me back to my home roots of Cornwall, where we join a multi-talented individual with passion for education, creativity, and storytelling. With a background as an early years teacher, and I believe only recently he's been invited as a governor as description in a local school, and over a decade of experience in education, Alasdair Hoswell, who is our guest, has dedicated himself to nurturing young minds and fostering a love for learning. As an author and illustrator, Alistair brings imaginative worlds to life through his children's passages, from the fun and laugh out loud books of I Brush My Teeth with Air Gel to the pasty inspired tale of There's Something Nasty in My Pasty. Now, for anyone international watching, listening, please Google pasty, and it's not pasty, as I've been told over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's pasty. Set in enchanting landscapes of Cornwall, Alistair's stories captivate young readers and spark their imagination. I let him talk about his latest work because it's his journey, not mine. So we welcome Alistair to the journey.
Oh, hello, thank you. Oh, that was such a lovely introduction. Thank you very much.
You're
Oh,
welcome. Now, everyone has a journey. Everyone has a passion when they're young. When you was young, did you ever feel your imagination would kickstart your journey, or was something else in the mindset that would kickstart your journey?
that's a really good question. I've always been very imaginative, so I've always been like the kind of person that likes to make up magical worlds and think about stories in my head and all that kind of stuff. But I think when I was younger, I used to find that quite hard to get out on paper or in writing, really. So, because I always struggled a little bit with writing when I was younger, whereas drawing came a little bit more natural to me. So through my imagination and being able to draw was a way in for me with that. That really helped me.
Yeah, and creative drawing, and as you know, in school, you had to go with what they allowed you to draw. But at the same time, creative drawing, when you was allowed to be free to draw, that's where the imagination sparked in more because you had the free reign of what you could draw.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And just then you can just start drawing the things that are in your mind and all the little characters and worlds and magical things. And I just love that.
And part of living in Cornwall, you do have that imagination more so because you're told so many stories growing up saying, "Oh, do you remember the Pixies? Do you remember the?" And
That's right.
there's many books I remember as a youngster. I forgot the exact names now because of the age kicks in. But there was always a book where today we're going to read a book. It's set in Cornwall. Use your own imagination while
Mm.
you listen to us, and you hear a book about elves in Pendine, for example.
Yeah,
And then it's your imagination kicking in, and
definitely. I think that definitely helped me. So being read quite a lot of stories as a child, and then all the Cornish legends that we have here in Cornwall, all of those things have just fueled my passion really for storytelling and helped my imagination to grow, definitely.
do you feel the imagination's more stronger in the belief of imagination as a child? Because I know you're based locally to where I was, so the imagination for storytelling was more so if you was where you are now compared to if you was in the towards the, as we like to say in Cornwall, the border. So would you say your the imagination was strong because of the area you grew up in?
I'd say it definitely has influenced that, absolutely, because I'm surrounded by such beauty here in Cornwall, and like with the Cornish engine houses and the beaches and legends of mermaids and pirates and giants, I think it's really hard not to be inspired by the world of like the land around me, really. But I think as a child, especially, I think your ideas are a little bit more like out there and more kind of you think a lot more freely as a child, whereas when you're an adult I feel your ideas sometimes you have those voices in your head saying, oh, that's not a good idea or whatever, whereas perhaps as a child you don't have that so much. But I've kept lots of my old notes from when I was a child of like some of my story ideas and drawings, so it's almost like going back in time and speaking to like the 9-year-old me for ideas. So I kind of do that a little bit still, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I don't know because I know you. work with the Cornish side of things as well. I don't know if you've heard of this legend, but there was a part of a legend that used to say there used to be a place in between Cornwall, the tips of Land's End, and the Isles of Scilly, the lost land of Lyme Ness.
Ah,
So there's always been because I like being creative as well, and I have, written poetry, so I understand how it is.
oh,
But
lovely.
I've always been drawn to writing something like I did when I was younger. I wish I kept that piece of work now because it was just creative in its own right mind. But I would go back and I would look at that, go back to Land's End and look to where Land's End starts, the tip, and I'll try and see sillies. If I can't see sillies, I'll then will try and think of a new poem.
Yeah, oh, that's really lovely.
But it's just like the long lost land of Lyme Ness, and when you can, it's an idea that I'm. It's just mindset. So
Yeah.
growing up, obviously going into secondary education, the broad scope was more so because obviously it was further education. Did you feel like the system was helping you learn in your skills that you wanted to develop?
I think early on, I think primary school it did. I think primary school allowed for a lot of creativity back when I was at primary school back in the 90s. I think for me, secondary school was a little bit more kind of rigid and a little bit more kind of having to fit in certain boxes or certain groups academically. And I wasn't always good with that because there was things I was better at than others. So I'm better at the arty, creative subjects than I am at some more of the academic-y stuff, really. My strengths seem to be more art and creativity and music rather than like more of the like maths and things like that. Even though I do like a little bit, even my new book has maths in it, but I would usually go down the road of art quite a bit. So I think yeah, early on, I think in the secondary school, it was harder to do what I felt was my strengths because those core subjects are obviously so important as well. But I think it's so important for schools, especially, to encourage arts, encourage the music, the drama, the performance, the creativity, that kind of creative writing as well within storytelling, because it's just magical and wonderful for children to have and for young people to have. I think we shouldn't all be fit in a box of you have to be good at this, this, and this. I think everyone has their strengths and everybody does things differently and learns at different times as well. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you got taught art by the same art teacher I probably did, so that shows my age as well.
Yes, I had a few art teachers, but one of them was I had a few. So I had Mr. Lyon, he was really cool, and Mrs. Grono, she was an art teacher as well. She used to teach ceramics, and I used to love
Yeah,
ceramics. And I think we had Miss Cullis as well. She used to do art. Yeah,
that definitely shows my age.
yeah, that's cool. They were really cool, really cool. And then I studied art later on then at college, and I worked with some amazing teachers there as well. So they were really cool.
But you touch upon names there that just bring back memories because you said about Mr. Lyon, Pete Lyon, he was a great teacher. He even taught my mum, so that shows
Yes,
how
and my
and
mum too.
and
Yeah,
Mrs. Collins was obviously there at the same time, pretty much.
yeah,
Mrs.
yeah, yeah,
Guano was my first art teacher. Her
yeah.
husband always used to write in my reports, "Don't forget your homework." Yeah,
Oh, that's right, because he used to teach DT.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's
he
really
was,
cool.
but he was passionate about what because he knew I knew the Welsh language, and he was a
Ah,
Welshman.
of course. Yeah.
So most of the time when he used to speak to me, it's half the time in Welsh, and everyone's like, "Why are you talking a little differently?"
Oh, that's cool.
But
Oh,
there's many memories of school that I shared personally with loads of people. Like I explained there, you had Miss Ungate,
yes.
or
Oh, Miss Ungate's amazing.
and I'm friends with her now on Facebook,
Yes. Yeah,
and
me too. Hi.
and so
Oh,
the passion is within
yeah.
so many people that you know they inspire you to be a lot better than they expect you to be. And yes, you want to be the best you can, but only you can do it as a person, I believe.
That's right. Definitely. That's really good
So,
advice.
so moving into college and later, later as you progress further, did you find it getting harder or easier?
I found it once I left secondary school, if I'm really honest with you, I actually found it easier because I struggled with all of those different subjects at school. I actually struggled with the amount of it all as well at the time. I remember thinking like you go from lesson to lesson to lesson to lesson, and that actually, like when you stop and think about it, that's a lot of work. And I think we just all just take it for granted that's what we all do. But I used to come home exhausted some days, and I think I wasn't quite ready sometimes for it. I think like I just wasn't quite ready for some of it. And then much later on, then I was able to go back and do some of my GCSEs again because I wanted to improve them. So I did them as a young adult instead, which I'm really proud that I did that. So yeah, for me, college was easier. I felt I was able to be more myself as well. I made new friends. I made more friends with people that were into the similar interests to me with art and design, and I was able to just be myself more and feel more free and creativity. And I think it's because I was doing something I loved every day. I was doing art, I was being creative. And yeah, so I think that was a really good step for me. I was about 16, 17 at the time, and I remember thinking this was a good chapter.
It's like a next jump that makes you feel. It's like when you are 16, you've got that launching board where you're on like a rocket ready to take off and you're ready to.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
obviously you start writing, you carry on with your illustrations, and most of your illustrations are in your books you write. Do you do the illustrations first or do you think of the book first?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes I think of the little like drawings and things first. So I'll think of like maybe characters or settings or worlds and paint them and draw them first before I come up with stories. Usually that's the way in because I feel more like it gives me the inspiration to then write because I'm seeing something visually and I'm like, right, I've created this world for this character. I'm going to make this story, and it helps me to see it visually by doing that. Whereas, like, if I just had a plain piece of paper and started writing, I think I would struggle more with that because for me, I think having a plain piece of paper can be quite frightening. I find it quite intimidating as well. It can be a little bit like, okay, what do you want me to do with this? This suddenly needs to be filled, there suddenly needs to be something creative on it. And that's quite a pressure on yourself. Whereas I think if you just think to yourself, right, let me just free my mind and get my paintbrush and just do some patterns and just maybe just play with some colors for a minute, things start to evolve from there. And
Mm.
the writing then comes afterwards, usually.
And the best thing about Cornwall, there is places you can go for inspiration, like I said, because there's so many locations you can go to.
Absolutely.
And then obviously in the early days there was local places you can go to and be creative and say, this is my work, like local media stations. You can go to a local media outlet and say, this is my work. What do you think? And that gives you opportunity in some cases to say, okay, we like your work, we publicize your work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. There's lots of places that you can go to get that inspiration. We're very lucky. I feel very blessed to be here in Cornwall,
Like,
definitely.
I don't know if it's still open, I think it is, the Cornwall Centre. You
Oh,
can go
yes.
there and you can say,
Yeah.
this is my work, and they will take it and they like it because it's
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Going into your books, what made you start writing your books to first and foremost? Because obviously you said about the drawings. Was it from drawings you did and then you thought I could write with this, or you just
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of two different directions for that, really, because I always loved making stories up as a child, always loved drawing. That's always been a part of me. But then through art, so through the art that I did at college, I went into teaching art. So I trained for a year at the time to teach art and design post 16, which I absolutely loved. I did that for a year. And from doing that, I got to work with primary schools as well. And then I retrained as a primary school teacher through after teaching art for a year, which was incredibly brilliant. And I loved that. And I did that in 2018 now. So, and then I stayed as a primary school teacher for, well, I was within primary for about 10 years in the end, because I was a teaching assistant before I became a teacher. And I think through that journey, that was especially, that ignited that love for storytelling again, because I had to tell stories to my children every day at school. So I was starting to fall in love with the idea of like children's books and stories quite a bit. So being a teacher has definitely influenced my writing and my storytelling. And that's where my first two books kind of evolved from, really, because of, well, all of them, I guess, all of my books, but through that kind of education, learning a message through the story kind of angle as well. And I would just read the books to the children in the class to see if they would like it, just like to sort of test it out. I'd just make stories up. And they used to respond quite well. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll, perhaps I'll do something with this. And yeah, and that's kind of one of the ways of how it started, really.
Now,
Yeah.
about mini books. Yes, there was illustrated books when I was in school, but there was also books that you had to use your imagination. Like there's one famous book, The Fate of Jamie Physic. Now that was a good book, not illustrated, but it was based in the land of Greenwich area, and it was about a boy who saw a ghost, and this ghost was like 100 years previous to him, and it was determining what happened to this boy. It's named The Fate of Jamie Physics, and it turned out that the boy, I think I'm trying to not spoil it too much, but I think the boy was related to this boy who died, and it was just letting go. So.
Oh, that sounds really
But I
interesting.
have to look back on my record on that part. It was a good
Mm.
book, and it's still available now. And I think I purchased it from Amazon. And looking back at it now, it's like, wow, the imagination you use just to listen to the story being told.
Yeah. I think that's very magic. I think there's nothing more magical than your own imagination, because you are bringing that to life in your mind, aren't you? I think that's really special.
Like it says here about there's something nasty in my pasty with one of your books. Now you got the
Uh,
illustrations to go with it, but if you listen to that, you just reading it as an audible version, your imagination can run.
yeah,
What's in my pasty?
that's right. Yeah, you can imagine it yourself, can't you? And create
Yeah.
those characters yourself. And I think that's lovely.
So it's going to about your latest work, Cornwall for Land You Can Count On, which me being biased, I can say 1%, yeah, you can rely on it, proper job.
Yeah.
Combines your love for storytelling with his passion for Cornish culture and heritage. Now, that is a good thing because people underestimate the Cornish language as a whole. And I know one of the senses that went round before I even left Cornwall said, "Which language are you?" And there was a suggestion about a tick box number 42, which said Cornish. And I think for the joke, some people actually did check box 42. So when it came back in the census, it was like, Cornwall is a recognised language now. So I feel, I assume you're 100% Cornish and you're passionate about Cornwall. So that's why you like to endorse the Cornish heritage.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. And for me, like, I came quite late to the Cornish language, if I'm honest. I didn't actually have that taught to me at school at all. We didn't
No.
have that. And so it was only as a young adult that I discovered that and fell in love with it and thought, wow, we have our own language here. That's really cool. That's something to celebrate. And I was so lucky that I got to work with Dr. Loveday Jenkin, who is
She's a
absolutely
lovely.
fantastic. Oh, lovely. Cool. You know her. That's really awesome. She's amazing. And I was able to work with her with the Cornish language aspect of the book as well, just to help make sure the language was correct, because I'm kind of still learning a lot of it myself, if I'm honest, as well, which is because it's a lot to learn. And I thought, well, let's start with the numbers. Let's start with some place names. I think that's really special. And then I've used my early years background as a teacher to for the counting aspect as well, because obviously I would always teach my children to count in the classroom, and now I can teach them to count in Cornish as well, which is really special. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. It's my favourite book that I've made, definitely.
And then there's obviously nowadays that in podcasts and he does his own show that he distributes, Matthew Clark.
Yes. Oh, Matthew's awesome.
And I
Oh,
wanted to
he's awesome.
shout out to him because he is a true hero because of what he's been gone through. And I
Yeah.
know if I mention him, it's just us being supportive of him in his time because I know he has got better, but at the same time, there's always the risk of him being ill again. So we must think of him.
Oh, definitely. I'm sending lots of love and big kiss for him.
Exactly. So going back to what I was saying about Cornish as a whole, there was only, I've heard of Cornish and I've understood the Cornish language in the bits I've understood. But I remember when I was going back to my school days as well now, there was a teacher called Mr. James. Sadly, he no longer is with us. I think he was there as you were starting. So, but he was there and he taught us in the second year because it was second year, and he said we need choir members to be part of the Christmas service because obviously back
Ah,
then the Christmas service was at the Depension Chapel in Poole. But he says, I want everyone to be unique. We're not going to sing this song. We're going to sing this song in South African. And then he actually taught us to sing Arraign the Manger in Cornish.
oh,
So,
amazing.
so we learned one song. I forgot what it was. I think in the end I found out it was the South African national anthem that we were singing.
Oh,
Only by
wow.
only by default I found that out because I was watching a rugby match and watching like those words sound familiar, and it was the South African. But for this Cornish, Christmas service, he asked us all to sing away in the major in Cornish.
Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, I love
And
that.
I was only 13 at the time. Well, actually, yeah, I was 13 because I was the oldest my year. I was 13. And for us being young teenagers singing in Cornish to parents at Christmas service, it's like, wow. And
Mm.
not everyone knew because he didn't really introduce it, but he was passionate about Cornwall. You could hear it in his
Oh,
voice.
yeah, that's really lovely. Oh, and
But
that passion
sadly,
then,
yeah, but
yeah.
sadly, he moved away, and then he was tragically killed in a
Oh,
incident where he lived when he moved away.
oh gosh.
But he was part of the music heritage, and he was part of Hanana. I don't know if you've heard of Hanana. That was like a
Yeah,
music folk band, and he did that
yeah.
with, Alan Jones,
Oh,
who was the
amazing.
teacher as well, PSE teacher. PSE for any international is personal social education, which is now social education, not personal social education.
Yeah.
So I got to remember that. Or if you're in America, social studies.
Mm, yeah.
And that's not me to be discriminative, but personal social education sounded better because it is about personal. You have to learn it yourself.
Yeah.
Social
And it's,
social
yeah.
education as a whole sounds broad.
Yeah. And it's personal to you, isn't it? It's
Mm.
personal to your experiences and your life experiences. And yeah, I can understand that.
So going back to what I was saying about your latest work, Cornwall for Land You Can Count On, combining storytelling passion for Cornish culture and heritage. And it's a counting book. Not only teaches children numbers, but also celebrates the rich history and traditions of Cornwall, including the Cornish language. So I assume you took illustration from your own work,
I
and
did. Yes, I did.
you obviously thought, let's make this fun, let's make it one, and then I forgot what one is in Cornish, and then one steam engine, one such, and you
That's
can talk
right.
about it.
And I've got the book here. So that's just the front cover. And
Yep,
it's based, so I've done a Cornish background really with the cliffs and the sea and
and the chuffs.
chuffs flying. That's right. It was good fun to make. And all the drawings they're paintings. So they're all acrylic paints. And then I photographed them for the book. So I've got tartan as you open it as well. So you've got some Cornish tartan, a little pasty, so you can write your name on there to say this book belongs to you. And that's been good fun that people write their name on the pasty bag. And then yeah, for page one, basically, you
I'm
have
just guessing because obviously I haven't read this. So.
oh, that's okay. And you've got some maps as well. So there's maps of Cornwall, so you can see the different places. So one's in Cornish, one's in English, so you can see the different place names. So you can learn the names. And then it starts with 0. So 0, you've got the beach, and why it's 0 is because there's nobody on it, and it's always lovely when you come to Cornwall and find an empty beach. So that's
But
why I did that.
it's a rare thing to have an empty beach.
Oh, definitely. You don't often find that. So if you find an empty beach, then yeah, just
Make the
embrace
most
it.
of it.
Definitely. And then number 1 is the mermaid. So I've based her on the mermaid of Zena. So she
Yeah.
is, and then number 1 there is on. But yeah, it was just lovely to just paint and draw. And I think I wanted this book especially to be acrylic paints, because I just think they give you such vibrancy, and the colors are just beautiful. I love the way they blend and mix, and I just love using acrylics. So I thought, yeah, let's use acrylics for this book.
So, moving forward into the future, obviously you've got many more ideas in mind, and I'm not going to ask you to disclose future ideas because obviously that's in your mind, and I respect
Oh,
the fact of you want to keep that to yourself because it's your own work. But are you excited by the future, especially now you've been offered to be part of, the governors of a local school? You're still doing your interviews, you're still going to schools, you're still doing your community work.
I am. Yeah, I am really, really excited. And I feel very blessed because ever since creating this book, really, so ever since creating Cornwall, the Land You Can Count On, I feel like it's opened up so many different opportunities for me, which I'm so grateful for. I've been able to visit lots of local primary schools and do author visits and workshops, which has been so exciting. And I love meeting all the community and just helping to encourage them and inspire them. And that means the world to me to go and do that. And local libraries as well, which is brilliant. And being a governor now, that was such an amazing honor, because I went into Chirworthy School as an author, and then they kindly invited me to be their governor for early years, and I was so blessed. And I thought, thank you so much, of course, because then I can still work within education as well, since sort of stepping aside from full-time teaching. So that's just been really wonderful for me. So yeah, I am really excited about the future, and I've got all these ideas in my head for more books, definitely. And I'm really excited. I'm really proud. I just want to be like, a good storyteller and a good author and an artist, and I just love that makes me happy, and I just hope people enjoy my books. I just really hope they do.
And I know your partner really supports your work as well, which is good of him as well. So I really
Yeah.
applaud them for supporting you in your work as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, James is amazing, and we support each other with he's an amazing photographer as well, and he's fantastic at everything he does for Cornwall with Caspin and with the Cornish ancient sites, and he's incredible. So we support each other, and he supports my creativity with my books and my art and my music, and I support him too. And I think that's a real key to a relationship as well, to embrace each other's interests and support each other.
So, last ultimate question, and it's a one that will inspire many, hopefully. What would you say to people to inspire them in their journey, in their passion, in their beliefs, in what they want to do?
Oh, that's such a lovely question. Oh, absolutely go for it. So if you're someone there thinking, I want to try something new, or you want to write, you want to draw, you want to be an author or whatever it is, or whatever their dream is, absolutely 100% go for it, because like you don't get a second chance at life. And sometimes you have to sort of sit back and think, right, okay, weigh things up and think, right, what if I do this, or what if I go down this road? And I think it's really important to just embrace it and do it. I left when I first left teaching. I didn't have anything to go to. I had nothing to bounce back onto. I just did it because I knew in my heart this felt right, because I knew I wanted to do something with storytelling and my author side of things. I kind of knew that was there, but I didn't have the Cornwall book didn't exist yet. It was still sort of paintings and things. So yeah, I would definitely say to anybody, just absolutely embrace your dreams, go for it. Don't let anybody stop you, and just just grab the world. You deserve it. Everybody deserves happiness, and yeah, that's my advice, I think.
Alistair, it's been a pleasure talking to you, things Cornwall, and
Oh,
catching up because, like I said, I've been following you. I forgot how many years now, but I know I've been following you for a while, so I've seen the progression of how you've gone from when I first met you to where you are now. But
oh,
carry on with the good work.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for
and,
having me. It's been lovely.
and, and many blessings for the future.
Oh, thank you. You too. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks.
Oh, take care.
Thanks.